Hi, this is my last reading journal update of the year until I set up the new year in this journal. I was going to do it all in one video, but I sort of thought maybe it makes sense to wrap up the year first and then do a separate video for the setup, because I think the setup's going to take quite a while and I'm excited about it. But let's finish up the year. This is going to be all the books I read in December, and then we're going to fill out some other things that we have to finish up for 2024. So here is December. I went ahead and printed out the books that I read already, and we're going to just talk about them very briefly. If you need instructions on how to print out these book jackets, you can go on one of my reading journal update videos from 2024 has instructions. I think it's the second one that I made. So you can go and check that out. I just use Google Docs, but you can use Canva or anything like that. And I print it onto sticker paper. So the first book is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is the second Sarah Adams book that I read. I actually read Practice Makes Perfect first, and that's the second book in the When in Rome series. So I went back and read the first one. Some of these series from like the romance authors, some of them are like you can read them out of order because they're characters within the story, but they're like supporting characters, so it doesn't give anything away. I prefer to read them in order, but sometimes I can't, or I forget, or I didn't know. So I have these star stickers that I got from Amazon earlier in the year, and I like to fill out the stars. This one I'm going to give 4 stars. Or did I say 5 stars? Oh my gosh, I forget already. I have to look under here. Wait, oh no. I think I have to pause and go look at Goodreads. Hold on a second. All right, I did give this one 5 stars. This one was about a pop singer. She's like a famous pop singer, and she's really burnt out and she wants to get away. So she kind of just escapes everything and runs away from like her agent. And she ends up in this place called Rome, Kentucky. And she meets this, her car breaks down, you know, typical, right? But she meets this small town man who runs a bakery. It's just a really cute little story. And I listened to this one on audio. I actually thought that the narrator is really good, and I just really enjoyed that a lot. And like I said, that's the second Sarah Adams book I read, and then I read the cheat sheet in December as well. But let's move on to the next one, which is The Women by Kristen Hanna. This is the second Kristen Hanna book I have read, and this will definitely not be the last. She is a phenomenal author. I find myself like thinking about the books for quite a while after I finish them. The first book I read was The Nightingale, which I did slightly like a little bit better than The Women, but they were still both really, really good. This one was about a nurse in the Vietnam War and everything that kind of happened in her life from the time that she decided to go out there, actually from before that, up until like years later after she returned, and everything that happened to her after returning. It was very thought-provoking. It kind of illustrated what life was like in the United States when people returned from the Vietnam War. They were disrespected and misunderstood, and there was like just a lot of chaos going on. And so it talked a lot about that, and I love learning about history through a character. You know, I think it's just a great way to learn more about what happened and kind of like get in that inside the character's mind, and you kind of have a feel for what it was like. And these feel very realistic. Of course, there's drama and the person's life and all of that, but I really enjoy her books a lot. So I'm actually currently reading The Great Alone. I just started that one, and that's really good so far too. But we'll talk about that the next time I do a reading journal update. The next one was These Silent Woods. I listened to this one on audio. By the way, I read this one on Kindle and got it from my library. This one was on audio, and I listened to it while I painted my den. I did get my den painted, and it was good. I liked it. It wasn't quite a 5-star read, just because I wasn't really thrilled with how it ended. But I enjoyed the story. It was about a man and his daughter who lived in the middle of the woods, pretty much alone. And all about like their lives. And you kind of, as you go through the book, you get to know the characters a little more, and you get like a backstory of what happened to lead them to live this isolated life. And it was very atmospheric and really, really good, I thought. But not quite a 5-star, I didn't think. The next one is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This one was pretty good. I mean, it was 4 stars, so I guess I really liked it, but it wasn't that memorable, you know? This one was about a football player, his best friend. It was kind of like a friends to lovers trope. Sorry about the barking. I discovered that I really like friends to lovers books because there's like this big buildup before they finally kiss and all of that and confess their feelings, you know, so I really enjoyed this one. Hold on. The next book is called, the next 3 books, I should say. Here's why I did this. These are short stories. They're novellas. And the reason I did this is because I was trying to get to my 75 books for the year. My goal was 75 books. I don't think I quite made it. We're going to count these, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. So these 2 books, and I know that's kind of cheating a little bit, but like they're my rules, you guys. I can make up my own rules about my own goals. So these 2 books, The Worst Wingman Ever and The Exception to the Rule, these were part of the Improbable Meet Cute collection, which came out from a bunch of romance authors. They got together and made this collection. These are 2 of my favorite romance authors, Abby Jimenez and Christina Lauren. Well, this is 2 authors. So these were just cute little short stories. And I'm not usually one to read short stories, but actually I really enjoyed these. And it's just, if you're not feeling like getting super involved in a book, this is something you can read like in one day. I really enjoyed them. Oh, and there's like 3 other books in that collection that 3 or 4 other books that I want to read as well. This one was about a guy who was trying to help his friend, I think, or his cousin, I forget. And he put a note on his cousin's girlfriend's car, or his friend's girlfriend's car. At least he thought so. And it turns out it wasn't her car, it was this other woman. So it's dual points of view. You know, it switches per chapter, which I like. They start leaving notes on the car for each other and stuff like that. And it's kind of how they come to eventually meet. So I like that. This one was even better. I loved this one. This is called The Exception to the Rule. The first part of the book was email exchanges. This was an accidental email where a guy accidentally emailed a girl, or vice versa, I forget, thinking it was somebody else, and they started talking. And then every year, it was Valentine's Day, and then every year on Valentine's Day, they would email each other, and they did this for 10 years. And then at the end of the 10 years, like you would see all of their email exchanges through the 10 years, and then at the end of the 10 years, it got to like the novel part where it was dual points of view from the guy and the girl. And it was just so, so cute. I read this one really quickly. I just really enjoyed it. I mean, you know, unrealistic, but cute. This last one is by Elin Hilderbrand, who is one of my favorite authors, but I didn't like this one. This is called Natural Selection. This was also a short story. I found myself skimming this one because it was annoying me for some reason. This is about a woman who goes on vacation with her boyfriend, who she's been with for like 6 months, and her boyfriend's kind of shady, and like we can see that as the reader, but the girl really doesn't see it, and it's just super annoying, and it's so obvious to us. So I just was like annoyed that she was just being really dumb and not like not realizing what a jerk he was. And that's really not giving anything away because you can tell by like the first chapter, you know, that he's not a good guy. And a lot of it was her going to the Galapagos Islands without him. He like left, and it was like the whole descriptive thing of her on the boat with all these people that she met. I don't know. I found it sort of pointless, and I didn't feel like it was anything special at all. So I was sort of disappointed in Ellen Hildebrand. I don't know. Just didn't do it for me. All right. First, let's count up the books that I read just to be sure. I have a count on Goodreads that I think is like different from this count. Because if I start a book on Goodreads and then I don't finish it, for some reason, unless I delete it completely, it like stays in my read and then it counts as part of my reading goal. So I don't want to look at Goodreads for that. By the way, you can follow me on Goodreads. I'll put a link in the description if you want to see what I'm reading over there. Okay, so let's count these. 73, you guys. I got it up to 73 and I couldn't get further. Oh, well. I tried and it's okay. Like 73 is the most books I've read in years. I mean, I think last year I got up to 50 something and that was so much for me, but 73 books is a lot. And I'd rather, you know, not reach my goal than try to rush through it. I know I kind of rushed through it at the end, but I had a lot of fun with this reading journal this year and a lot of fun, you know, reading. A lot of these are audiobooks, in case you're wondering how I read 73 books. So many of these are audiobooks because I read when I clean, I read when I drive, I read when I'm like getting ready in the morning, when I'm walking the dog. So I listen to a whole lot of audiobooks. I pretty much don't listen to music anymore. I listen to audiobooks and, you know, your mileage may vary, you know, but I love to listen to the books. And I don't listen to them on more than 1 times speed, by the way. I listen like the regular speed, unless an author is so slow, which is very rare. I mean, a narrator, I listen to it like on regular speed because I can't process things. I don't know if it's my ADHD or whatever, but I have a hard time like processing sentences that quickly and I miss things if I go too fast. So 1 times speed. Okay, there's a couple of other things we need to do. First of all, I think what I want to do for each month is write the number of books read at the top here, just so I can get like an idea for myself. So I'm going to go and do that. So I have a page over here that's my 2024 stats that I'm going to fill out. Let's do most read month and least read month, which is one of the reasons why I did this. So my most read month was a tie between May and June. Yeah, between May and June, and there were 8 books each. So I'm going to write that in May, June. Least read month, I think was August, September. It was September, which is surprising. I don't know what happened in August and September, but I really slowed down. I'm not sure why. I think part of it was I was trying to get through a couple of really tough books for me. Look Closer by David Ellis. I had a really hard time getting through. I only gave it 2 stars because it was like dragging on and I didn't want to read it. I finally finished it. Same with A Court of Thorns and Roses, same deal. So while I was like going through July, August, and September, I was trying, well, not September, I guess just July and August, I was trying to get through these books and it was difficult. And then in September, I also don't know what happened in September, but there we are. Oh, I know what happened. I think I was like listening to a lot of news and reading a lot of the news because of the election. I think like September and October, I did a lot of that. And so that makes sense to me. Yeah. But let's do September here. Average rating, I'm going to have to take some time and, oh wait, I have that on Goodreads actually. Let me look that up. Okay, Goodreads says that my average rating for the year was a 3.9. Now that's pretty high. I'm someone who rates books pretty highly. I don't really know why I do that. I'm trying to get better at rating them like realistically, but I think I just like books. I don't know. Number did not finish. I believe that was 3. I tried to write them out here. In October, I didn't finish The Measure. Black Cake, Small Great Things. Wait, I thought I didn't finish First Lie Wins. I definitely didn't finish that. Maybe I just didn't write it in here. Okay, so I'm going to say 4 of them, which is actually a lot for me. Total books read was 73. Total pages read. Okay, instead of that, because I don't want to add all of it up, I don't know why I did that, we're going to do longest and shortest because Goodreads gives me those stats. So the longest book was The Nightingale, and that one was 593 pages. And the shortest book was The Gift by Frida McFadden, and that was 47 pages. Number of new authors, we can actually count those up in case you're interested. 20. Cool. Okay, I'm going to take a moment and add these up, and then I'll come back and plug them in with you. Okay, for romance, there was 24 books. Thriller, 22 books. Regular fiction, 21 books. Horror, 0. I used to read a lot of horror. I haven't read horror in a long time. Historical fiction, 2. Sci-fi, 0. Young adult, 2. Fantasy, 1. And nonfiction, 1. And other, 0. So, I don't know. I like stats, and I find that interesting. I forgot before I started this that I was going to print out a big book jacket from the book of the year. I'm going to wait and do that later because I just want to get this video done. My favorite book of the year was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. It is a phenomenal read. It's about 2 sisters in France during World War II and when the Germans came in and occupied France. And it's just so emotional and educational and heartwarming and just all of the things. It talks about everything, the concentration camps, and it was just such an incredible book. So I would urge you to read that. Anyway, I will write this in here, but then I'm going to actually maybe I'll use a different pen. Then I'm going to actually print out the book jacket and then I'll write about it here. That is the wrong color. It's that one's a real cool pink and this one's a warm pink. So we need to change that up. Okay, like I said, I'll fill that out later. Let's finish my book bracket. So my top book in December was The Women. This is hard. I really enjoyed The Women, but I really liked Remarkably Bright Creatures a lot. I listened to this one on audio and I read this one. So I feel like if I read this, I would have liked it better than this. Maybe. This was such a great book though. But I'm going to put down Remarkably Bright Creatures. So between All the Little Raindrops and Remarkably Bright Creatures, my favorite was Remarkably Bright Creatures. This one's hard, between The Last Thing to Burn and Remarkably Bright Creatures. They're 2 totally different books. This one was definitely more thought-provoking. It was had more meaning behind it. It was probably better written. But this one kept my attention constantly, and I wanted to keep picking it up to read. And that's something that is important to me in a book. So I think I'm going to pick this, even though this was, if I'm being picky, this was a better book overall, but I enjoyed this one more. Does that make sense? So I'm going to write that one in. And if you want to hear me talk about these books, you can go back on my last video, my last reading journal update video. I talk about those. Okay, so we're going to write in The Nightingale here. Let's do it in bold pen. All right. I'm going to let that dry and I'll probably like highlight it. Let's see. I have to fill out the rest of these. So this was worst wingman ever. The exception to the rule, the cheat sheet, natural selection, these silent woods, and when in Rome. Let's finish coloring these in. If I read it on Kindle, it's purple audiobooks and physical books. And I'm not coloring in the whole book, I'm just coloring in like the details on the book. So worst wingman ever, an exception to the rule, that was a Kindle book. Let's do audiobooks, These Silent Woods. I didn't read any physical books this year. Years ago, I got rid of all my physical books, and I have maybe one or two. I just read on my Kindle. I find it's easier to see, like to read it, because I can make the print big, I can read it at night. I can take all my books on vacation with me, you know what I mean? I just really enjoy the Kindle. I made these favorite author pages, and I kind of ran into a problem. So I did like these 3, and then I realized I ran out of space, and then I added in this other stuff for this year. And so I added more at the end. But I started adding a lot of pages. I need to do the headings for these. I basically wrote out all of the author's books so that I can check them off as I read. And this is actually really helpful because I can look it up and see what I haven't read. But I don't like how it's like in the middle here. I kind of wish I had put them all at the very end of the journal or at the very beginning of the journal. So I'm like not happy about that. But I decided to leave a lot more space. So I gave myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more pages for favorite authors. So this is probably going to be like sort of blank for a while, but I figure over the years I'm going to have more favorite authors to fill these up. I finished these pages up off camera. The only page left to do then is the top 10 page. I printed these book jackets out on the sticker paper. I made them really small so we can fill this out. As I'm looking at these, I forgot to include the women in my top 10, and it was my top 10. I'm gonna write it like somewhere else on this page and include it as an honorable mention because it took me so long to do this. I don't feel like doing it. This one actually I had to print out on regular paper because something went wacky with my printer and it was like printing weird. I don't think these are gonna be in like any particular order except for the first one, which is the Nightingale, and actually maybe the second one, which was the last thing to burn. When I chose these books, what I had to do is not just look at my book bracket, because if I look at my book bracket, it just gives me the top book of the month. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be part of my favorite books of the year, because sometimes you have a month where you have a lot of 5-star reads. Like here, I had 4 5-star reads this month. And then there might be a month where I don't have any 5-star reads, like in August. So I had to really think and look at these to decide which ones were my top 10. And these were all 5-star books. These are close to the order, but not the exact order because it's really hard to do that. But these are pretty close. I really loved the book, The Women, but if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't like in a rush to read it every night. You know what I mean? It wasn't one of those books where I'm like, I can't wait to get to that book, like The Nightingale was. I don't know why that was. I think I kept falling asleep while I was reading or something. Anyway, let's take a look at my reading journal for 2024. We'll do like a little flip through. Here's all of the books. I did fill this out. I didn't finish this. I did read some new genres, which was just fantasy. I was consistent with this journal. I did not join a book club. I had a hard time finding one, but I'm hoping to do that this year. So here's all the books I read and my favorite authors. Book bingo, A to Z challenge. This one I kind of stopped filling out after the beginning of the year. My top 10, the book bracket, and then all of the pages. The next reading journal book that I'll have out is going to be the setup for the new year. And I'll just give you a little sneak peek of what I've kind of mapped out already. It's not written in stone, but it's going to be a whole process. So I can't wait to show you that and do that with you guys. So anyway, let me know in the comments, like give me some suggestions for books to read in 2025. I actually have a really long to be read list, like really long, but I'm always open to suggestions. So I love hearing from you guys. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.